Hey, what's up, guys? This is David, and welcome to day 31 of my 90 days journey to create $5,000 in passive income. This is actually my second attempt at creating this video because, again, I was filming with my MacBook, and after I had shot the entire video, I discovered that the video didn't save. Today, I don't have much update from Airbnb. I haven't gotten any new requests, but I do have an interesting situation with my current closing of my house on Friday. Let's dive into it. First, with the closing. I thought I had already given my lender all the information they needed, and that we were looking at this Friday as the closing day. But she gave me a call this morning and said that we are set for the original closing date, which is next Monday. I was in a slight panic because I thought, what's the deal? Didn't we decide we were going to do it sooner? I already ordered all these things for our new house, like furniture and other things. It's got my porch almost completely blocked. If it takes a couple more days, then I probably won't even be able to walk outside. I'm serious. And the thing that she was requesting was pretty interesting. Well, one of the things I had already given to her, and the other she had a question about, and that was gonna possibly delay the closing. The first one is the employment verification. She needed to verify that I actually work at this company that I say I do. And my company, they do have a special verification link I can give to lenders. It just requires me to set up a PIN and send them to the website or call the phone number. I thought that was all there was, but she said when she tried to verify, it asked her to pay a fee, and she doesn't have permission, so she sent it to another part of her team, and depending on when that team gets back to her, we may or may not be able to do the closing on time. The second thing is that since we are moving the closing date, she also needs an updated policy statement for my homeowner's insurance with the new date. Yesterday I had CC'd her on the email to my homeowner's agent, and he sent the document she requested, but I don't know why she was asking me again today. I forwarded the email to her again, and a moment later she said, "This is not the right document." I'm like, "Oh great, didn't you even check the email yesterday?" I didn't actually say that, but I'm sure she didn't. She said, "Okay, we need the final policy document." So I sent another email to my insurance agent, and thank heavens, he sent back a reply with the exact document in about 30 minutes. And this time it was the correct one. I figured I might have to pull someone else into the conversation to get the employment verification completed on time. But before I was able to do that, I got another call from my lender informing me that she now has everything she needed. Hopefully this is the last time. Fingers crossed. She has told me similar things in the past. But right now, at least we are one step closer to closing on Friday. The other thing I want to share with you guys is I found a great book written by a shark from Shark Tank. In case you're not familiar with the show, it's a reality show on ABC where a bunch of venture capitalists are become judges for a group of entrepreneurs who for one entrepreneur that pitched their idea, and all the sharks would either compete with one another to give them money, or they would reject the entrepreneur and pass. It's quite interesting. I didn't have very good impression of any of the sharks before I read this book, because I felt they were just a bunch of greedy rich people who wanted to take advantage of these entrepreneurs. But by reading this book, it really made me realize just how much hustle it takes to build a company. The author of the book is Damien, and when he was growing up, there was a lot of black artists that were very popular in his town. And he would see the clothes they wear and want to emulate them, but they were so expensive it was not possible. And this is when the entrepreneurial idea came that, hey, why don't I create a clothing line for music enthusiasts that's specifically for blacks, and that's affordable and good quality. So he started his own clothing line called FUBU, F-U-B-U, which stands for us, by us. Since he didn't really have a marketing budget, the best thing he did was he gave these clothes away for free to the artists that he liked. And these artists would wear these clothes and everywhere they went. And people would take photos and ask them where they got the clothes. Eventually, it came back to Damien, and people wanted to buy from him. And little by little, that he built up a loyal following. And it was not an immediate success. He had to learn about business and creative ways to market. It's another example. Once he was traveling to New York City, and he had the idea to put his brand on billboards all over the city. But billboards are expensive, and he didn't have the money. So he came up with an even better idea. He noticed that there were many store owners who have the type of door that you pull down, kind of like a garage door. A lot of them were covered in graffiti, which is quite an eyesore. He knew that if he put his advertisement on it, it would be much better than the graffiti, and it would be a win for the store owner as well as to help him get more customers for his product. So he started pitching these store owners on his idea of putting advertisement on their business doors. Pretty much every owner he approached liked his idea and agreed to give it a try, because in the worst case, they could just paint over it and start over. He eventually was able to get about 80 business owners to have him paint his company ad on their door. And that was all he needed to create the marketing enthusiasm he was seeking. If had he a lot of money and could afford billboards, it probably would not have accomplished nearly the same effect. So in this case, being poor and with few resources actually turned out to be an advantage. Another story that Damien wrote about is that when Tim Ferriss, the author of the 4-Hour Workweek, was just trying to publish his book, he faced countless rejections from numerous publishers. And finally, he did meet one publisher who agreed to publish his work, but it was on a very limited budget. And typically, the book's success is correlated with how much money the publishers put into promoting the book. But Tim wanted to take the variable out of relying on the publisher's generosity for his success. He actually promised them, just leave the marketing to me. I'll make sure it goes viral. And that's a big promise that he had no idea how to fulfill. And this was the time when Facebook was in its infancy. And there was no YouTube. So he had to find out where the influencers were. And during his time, the biggest influencers were bloggers. But Tim didn't know any bloggers. He even though every one of them used email, he knew if he sent them an email, he would look like just about everyone else, and he would not be able to have the impact, the influence that he wanted. So he came up with the idea that he was going to meet the most popular bloggers, and the best place was at ECS. There was a specific area where the bloggers gather to share ideas and talk about their work. And Tim made it to this event and found the person he wanted to talk to. This guy was extremely popular, and every time he had an opening to approach him, someone else would already be in line. After a few tries, he saw this strategy wasn't working, and something else came to his mind. There was a lady in the room who he assumed was the secretary, and he decided to just be helpful. He asked her if he could bring drinks in for everyone, which she happily agreed. Tim also shared that he wanted to meet this particular blogger. It was then that this lady revealed to Tim that the guy he was trying to meet is actually her husband, and that she would be glad to introduce the two of them. With this, Tim was able to get his foot in the door and have his book mentioned in the blog of this popular blogger. The rest is history. And it still took a lot of hard work, but it was through that initial persistence and going out of his way to meet this person that created the initial momentum to catapult the rest of Tim's career. When it comes to starting with nothing or very little, most people think of that as a disadvantage, but the mindset of being broke frames it as a serious advantage. What it comes down to is that you need to be hungry, be resourceful, and authentic. And that's your secret recipe to being successful in life. I hope this helps in someone out there who's watching this. And if you found any part of my video helpful, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button, and feel free to subscribe to follow me on my journey. Until tomorrow, I love you, my friends. Peace.